Say your prayers to Khonshu. We're about to traverse the multiverse, and may the podcast be with you.
It's about to get effing cool.
All right, everyone, welcome to the EFNcool pod for May 20th. Mason, Aaron, welcome.
Ahoy.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
I'm good.
I'm doing great, man. I'm like, had a great day at work, ready to just like have a nice relaxing weekend, chill, vibe, love it.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm still trying to get the timing down on intros, apparently, because I cut you off during.
Did you cut me off? It's okay. I thought it was a little cut off. I was like, it'll be fine.
It was like a quarter second. It wasn't too terrible.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
Right. Yeah.
But as always, we've gathered together to talk about all the things that we think are effing cool this month. And first, we're going to start off with a little something we like to call Moon Knight. So, gentlemen, Moon Knight is officially wrapped up. The full season is on Disney+. Were you guys keeping up with it as it was airing, or did you just binge it when it was all done?
I watched it as it was airing. Yeah.
It was like a hybrid for me because I watched the first 2 episodes, and then we took a couple weeks off, and we watched the 3, 4, and 5. We binged those, and then we watched the 6th episode the day it came out. So it's like a hybrid binge for me, like watch week to week.
Maybe that's a good way to do it. Like, you get caught up and then just like, let's bank a few episodes so that the mystery doesn't take as long to resolve itself.
Yeah. Right. Well, I was like, the first 2, like the first episode I really liked actually. And I think me and Aaron were kind of opposite on this. Like, you didn't like the first episode as much.
No,
but the second episode for me was like, yeah. And so I was like, and then me and my wife started watching Daredevil on Disney+. I was like, after we watched Moon Knight one night, I was like, I'll just throw this on. And then she got really into it. And so we started binging Daredevil, and we were like, nothing is better than this right now.
I love it.
Yeah, I had not known much of Moon Knight. I got a buddy of mine who Moon Knight is one of his favorite characters because he was one of his alters is a Marine, and my buddy was a Marine. He's like, that's cool. He's a Marine superhero, and you don't get many of those. And he's one of my favorite characters. Yeah. And so I know he was super stoked for this series, and I was like, well, I'll check it out because I like the Egyptian god power set that he kind of has, and it seems like an interesting concept for a hero to have someone with this, dissociative identity disorder. And I got hooked. The first episode, I think, had a nice bit of mystery to it that kind of sunk into me. And then they kind of continued that through the series, which I was really into.
Nice. So you liked it a lot?
Oh, yeah, I enjoyed it. I definitely liked seeing the 2 identities kind of resolve toward the end of the series, and the switch back and forth, like smooth as butter toward the end. Whereas in the beginning, it was a very rough transition. It was a very, they were fighting for control, but end of the series, they just decided, we share a body. We're 2 people. They change at the drop of a hat. And I really enjoyed how they conveyed that in the last episode.
Interesting. Yeah, I actually agree with you as far as that goes. I liked that, and the character development was quite interesting, and I think probably the most entertaining part of the whole thing. For myself, I really couldn't get past the pace of the show. I felt like it was kind of like not all over the place, but kind of all over the place to a certain extent. Like there was episodes like we had in just like one entire episode in like one place almost. And then, in like the first episode, and I think it was, I think it was the second episode as well. They were just kind of like, moving at a really rapid pace all over the map. And so it felt very discombobulated as far as the directing went. But I did really like the characters. All of the acting, I think, was pretty A tier, all just across the board. And the cast was phenomenal. So no complaints there. But yeah, the actual, like I said, the actual directing of everything, I feel like was kind of my biggest critique of the whole thing.
And I wonder if that sort of change of pace and that sort of awkwardness was meant to in some way mirror how the character is, like, because
Mhm.
they're out of sorts mentally. Maybe we're meant to feel the same way through the use of
Right.
these edits and these quick cuts and the way the story is paced.
Mhm.
Which, if that is intentional, then it's very well done. However, if it's
Right.
a complete accident, then they've
Yeah.
stumbled onto something.
That
Well,
works.
yeah. Well, and you're not the first person I've heard say that either. So I have a feeling that in some ways it may have been intentional, but yeah, for me, regardless of its intention or not, it just made it feel a little bit too jarring. And
Mm.
so, for me, it wasn't my favorite personally.
Yeah, I think personally, and we talked about this on our Beyond Average Nerds podcast in
Yeah.
length. If you want to go over and listen to that one, little plug on that. But
Yeah.
I think for me, it was just like Aaron said, the pace and like it had like really killer episodes, like episode 5. Like it was a
Mhm.
tearjerker and like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
this character.
Yeah.
But then it had episodes like episode 3, I believe it was, or the one right before, and it was like, what is going on here? Why are we spending
Yeah.
so much time on this? And then the villain, it was just kind of lackluster, and the whole tomb scene and all that whole council thing was just very out of sorts, and it just didn't feel like anything, like, and so
Yeah.
that just a lot of problems there. But I think we
Yeah.
got some good characters to come out of this, but I just don't know if we'll see another season of this, and if I want to see another season of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did put out a tweet originally that called episode 6 the series finale, which they were
Right.
quick to retract and then repost and say season finale. But then after that, Oscar Isaac, I think, was being interviewed about it, and he said something to the effect of like, "Well, we haven't heard anything yet about a second season. We don't know if it's in production or what."
Mhm.
So it's like maybe they had originally intended it to be a one-off series, and then saw that it was popular and said, "Oh well, maybe we don't make it a one-off. Maybe we do go back and as they were." I mean, I don't see how they could have that foresight because they did pretty much set up a second season with the stinger at the end of episode 6 with the introduction
Right.
of Jake Lockley, which of course comics fans knew that character from the comics, and guys like me who had no idea went, "That's a new guy. Who's that?" um,
Yeah, because he was
so
like the main character in a lot of the comics, Jake Lockley. So I'm like, that was who I
Mhm.
knew as Moon Knight. I didn't realize Mark and Steven. And I was just like, where's Jake? Like, and
yeah.
then at the end of the series, I was like, gotcha. But yeah, they submitted the show to the Emmys as like a mini series, like a one and done type of series.
Mhm.
So, I mean, you can always change those things, but that's how it was submitted in the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But kind of going back to what Aaron said about the acting, I think, the acting in this series was really well done. Oscar Isaac, I mean, I love him in
Yeah.
everything I see him in. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, that episode 5, man, I came away different from that episode. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is emotionally draining, and I haven't been
Yeah.
emotionally drained from a Marvel project since probably Infinity War at the end.
Yeah.
And
True.
like to have that kind of emotional gut punch at 4:00 in the morning my time when I'm watching it as it drops.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
that's
great,
true.
I get to go cry myself to sleep now. And
yeah, you're the night owl who sees it first before the spoilers.
yeah, that's hooray, insomnia. I stay up late, so you don't have to. But
Right.
and then I forgot all about last night because when Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers went live at 3 a.m., I was sound asleep, and I woke up this morning
nice.
going, "Oh, that's right, Chip and Dale, I gotta watch it."
Was it
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, I was about to say.
I will say that yeah, it's really, really, really good.
Nice.
Very
I have to
entertaining.
watch it.
There is a cameo about 10 minutes into the movie that was so out of left field, unexpected.
Yeah,
I
that's
was dying of
I
laughter.
saw it on Twitter today. I think I know
Oh,
what
you
you're
did see
talking
it?
about.
Okay.
But
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I'll have to watch it.
If you can avoid spoilers, by all means, please avoid spoilers. Because yeah, I had no idea that was coming, and the instant it happened, I was just like, what? And there's more of those kinds of cameos throughout the movie where you're just like, Disney, how did you get these characters? Like, this is
Yeah.
a pseudo sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit in the sense that there are humans and cartoons living together in a world,
Mhm.
and it's not just Disney cartoons. It is cartoons from other properties, and it's like, this is strange, but I love it.
Interesting.
It's very
Interesting.
satirical, very meta. Like they make comments on the film industry through the lens
Yeah.
of characters, and it's very very entertaining. I really enjoyed it. As
Nice.
someone who loves knowing all that stuff, like the Hollywood meta game, I dig it a lot.
Nice. Check it out.
But yeah, so Moon Knight overall, what do you guys think? Give it a, I don't know, five-star system. What do you think? How many stars would you give Moon Knight?
For myself, I would probably, out of 5 stars, I would say
Should I extend it to 10?
Yeah, no, I'll give it 3. I mean, I think it's kind of medium, average. I wouldn't rewatch it. And I really, if it had a second season, and I've said this before, it had a second season, I would watch the second season for sure, because I like the characters and I like the story. They just need to move faster with it. I mean, 6 episodes, and I don't feel like really much, if much of anything got done. For the amount of time that they had to, push forward with it, it could have been a 2-hour movie. So yeah, I would give it a 3.
Yeah, same. I mean, 3 stars. That's pretty. I can't give it 2 because it wasn't that bad. Like the acting was really good. The CGI was really good. The everything. It was just like you said, there was just something about it that didn't hit me like all these other shows have hit. We didn't have we had episode 5, but it felt like I really enjoyed Falcon and Winter Soldier and the character building that they had, like in a huge sphere, and there was so much connected to it, and it set groundwork for like the next Captain America movie. And like there was those moments like that fight between Falcon, Winter Soldier, and the new Captain America. And, there was things like that this show is just really lacking. In like WandaVision, there was stuff that connected it to the outside that floated things. And, obviously we got a direct sequel to that with Dr. Strange, but like the whole White Vision part, there was so many things like that this show just didn't do for me, and it wasn't really funny. It didn't have a whole lot of Marvel funny moments. Like, I think the only 2 characters that I would want to see is like him and the Falcon,
Layla.
Falcon lady chick.
So
I
the
want to see her everywhere.
Yeah, she was adapted from an old villain character called the Scarlet Scarab, and they basically kind of hinted at those origins by having her character's surname be similar to the surname or the name of the villain of the original comics. And so I think a lot of fans predicted at the beginning, like, oh, she's going to be some kind of Scarlet Scarab. And sure enough, we get her at the end of the series where she's got those bad, like that scene where she's like flicks out her daggers and has wings all of a sudden. I was like, that's cool. That's so cool.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the suits were definitely really good. The Moon Knight suit was awesome. The Mark suit, the Steven suit. We talked about it a little bit on the other podcast. I really want to see the Jake Lockley suit. What if it's going to be like the Black Moon Knight with like the and all that? That'd be cool. But definitely, it just didn't do what I want Marvel to do for me in this MCU, is connect a lot of dots together. Like Hawkeye, Hawkeye was its own thing, but it still had Hawkeye in it, and then the events he was dealing with, like all this trauma that he had gone through from Infinity War and Endgame and all that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, you got this whole big overarching story where Kingpin is the secret villain, so those are the things that I love from Marvel. Like it had been rumored that Punisher had shot scenes for this. The guy, John Bernthal, had shot scenes for Moon Knight and they cut him. And I would, like I said on my other one, like at the end, Jake Lockley shows up. I would have really loved to see Punisher show up right there and kill the guy. Like he won't kill you, but I will, and like, because they're clearly building to some kind of Marvel Knights thing with Blade, and him and just some other stuff. So like, I just lay a little bit of groundwork, tease that a little bit for me, so I have something to look forward to with this character. I'm like, cool. Moving on, like I don't really have much to look forward to with him.
I feel a little more generous. I'd probably give it a 4. I enjoyed the character. I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed the acting. I enjoyed even Stephen. Not Stephen. I call him Stephen Hawke. Ethan Hawke.
Ethan.
Ethan Hawke, yeah.
Stephen Hawking is the villain. It's just I will get you, Moon Knight. But Ethan Hawke as the villain, I thought was really interesting because he was just so convicted in his pursuit that even when God, I'm forgetting the name of the villain now. Crocodile God. Even when the Crocodile God shows up and is like, your scales are imbalanced, and he's like, I understand. Amit, thank you. When Amit shows up and she's like, your scales are unbalanced. He's like, I know. Listen, do what you have to do. And she's like, no, I need you because my last, avatar was totally balanced, and I ended up getting put in stone for 1,000 years. So no, I don't want. I don't want somebody who's balanced. I want you to serve me.
Right.
And so even in that moment where he knew that he was not worthy, and he said, yes, go ahead and kill me. It's not, my life doesn't matter. What matters is the cause. And that kind of conviction in a villain character, I think, is really compelling.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm a little more generous. I give it a 4 out of 5. I do want to see more for sure. I really hope we get some kind of either a second series of this or, hopefully Moon Knight pops up in some future movies. I think would be really cool. Maybe some kind of like Midnight Suns thing would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like you said, they're setting up with Blade, and we're getting these more supernatural entities now. I think would be really cool to see. But yeah,
Oscar Isaac and his Egyptian. He's got an Egyptian superhero, and he's got an Egyptian villain on his swath because he was Apocalypse in X-Men.
That's right. That's right. I think this makes up for Apocalypse.
I like that movie.
I do too. The only thing I don't like about that movie is Professor X just being, like the whole movie, because he sees his girlfriend. But yeah, anyway.
Well, speaking of Professor X, we are going to move into a little talk regarding Dr.Strange and the
was he in this movie?
Of Madness.
Yeah, Dr. Strange
is in this movie?
No, Dr. Strange is in the movie. Yeah.
Dr. Strange is in the Dr. Strange movie,
Yeah. He's named after it.
Did we not mention there's spoilers, Dr. Strange is in the Dr. Strange movie.
No, I was saying Professor X is in this movie. I don't remember that part.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
the part
where this is a spoiler cast, Mason. Come on.
The part where he gets his neck
now we
snapped.
Can spoil it. It's on the screen now. Now we can spoil it.
Now we can spoil it. Oh, say my apologies. I thought we mentioned at the top that this is a spoiler cast. Maybe we should throw a voiceover on at the top of this thing.
I'm glad Zach's here to shout spoilers because I shout spoilers at our podcast all the time.
Listen, we'll put it in the description. It'll be fine. We'll be absolved of any, wrongdoing. But yeah, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Man, this thing was a trip and a half.
Yeah.
Definitely a Sam Raimi movie. If you're familiar with Sam Raimi's work, this is got Sam Raimi's handwriting all over it. Just the visuals, the aesthetic, the everything screams Raimi.
Yeah.
How spoiled were you on this movie, Zach?
Big fat goose egg. I went in pretty much blind, with the exception of like what we had seen from TV spots and trailers of like, hey, it's Doctor Strange. There's a multiverse. Yeah. Somehow Wanda's involved. Let's find out what happens.
Right.
And I know that there were spoilers all over. I had every hashtag blocked on Twitter. I did not go anywhere near like 4chan or anywhere that people just willy-nilly post spoilers. And I said, I'm just staying off the internet for like 4 days until I can get to see it at my own theater. And that scene, that man, let me tell you, I'm sitting there in the theater like a fanboy at Christmas with that scene because we got everything we wanted in that scene.
Yes.
Yes. For those of you who don't know and are, interested to know, the Illuminati showed up. That was fun. The Marvel Illuminati. And we got...
Go ahead. Right. I'm going to throw up a funny tweet from John Krasinski yesterday. He just said, all right, just wrap. Finally back in town. Headed straight out to the movies. Anything I need to see? He says, fantastic.
Yeah, the reply kills me. How about the new Doctor Strange movie? Fantastic. John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic in the Illuminati, I think, is one of those castings that it's like, this is a no-brainer. Do this thing, the fans will love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Mason.
I loved the way they brought all those characters in and immediately murdered them. Yeah, like I love,
yes,
I loved that casting announcement for, you know, obviously, I mean, maybe it was just a one-off thing and they're going to cast somebody else, but are they? I don't think they are. Like, I think he's Mr. Fantastic at this point. So like that is like the coolest casting announcement you could possibly have. Like I was actually spoiled on it the week before. But I mean, just seeing it was just so awesome. And he's perfect for that role. I mean, like, I don't know who else I would want playing that role other than him, you know?
No, I agree, man. I was happy. I'm in the same boat as Zach. I went in zero spoilers, which I think I did see the trailer at one point, and so I knew Wanda was in the movie, but I didn't even realize she was a villain. So like I was very blind going into this. And yeah, like John Krasinski came on the screen and I like didn't audibly gasp, but was very giggly in my seat. And then Professor X shows up and I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah.
I was like so thrilled.
When
And
I
then
tell you, Aaron,
I know
that when Professor X showed up and the music hit, and I'm just sitting there like,
I know, dude. I know.
Like,
yeah, it was wonderful.
I was slain instantly in my seat. I was just like,
plus the old school yellow floaty chair or the hover chair. It's delightful. Oh my gosh. And I know a lot of people don't like Peggy Carter, Agent Carter. But man, I freaking love her, and I really liked her as the lady. I can't remember. It's obviously.
And then they just call her Captain Carter.
Captain Carter. Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was. Yeah. I love that. I love that one shot.
The fact that they brought Haley Atwell back for that just is awesome. And there's talk of that she's going to get her own like live action miniseries or something too now.
I think she will, because she was buff in that movie. Like you could tell she was clearly working out for a 4-minute part. Like, come on, you know?
Yeah. If they're announcing some cool multiverse things that are going to happen in live action with that, I am all for that whole thing. I mean, I don't know about the whole Black Bolt thing. That was cool. They brought Anson Mount back for that, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to see more Inhumans.
No, we're good.
But just the whole scene and you know, the acting in the movie was good. We talked about this on the show before, but I think the way it was organized a little bit was a bit choppy for me, like personally. So it wasn't like my favorite movie, but I do love the horror aspect of it being the first horror film in the MCU. And like, I love Wanda. I love her character. I love Elizabeth Olsen. Like, she's great, like just in that role. And so I really hope that's not the end for her. What do you guys think?
I don't think it's the end for her at all. No, I think that they'll find a way to bring her back in some capacity and give her either a redemption arc or just bring in a multiversal Wanda that didn't do those things.
Yeah. I could see them using Mama Wanda, using that multiverse variant.
So that's something that I kind of, you know, I have been kind of picking apart in my brain, you know, since we saw this 2 weeks ago, and had kind of thought about that. I feel like, you know, when you had mentioned originally, Mason, like they kind of moved too quickly. I'm starting to kind of feel that way about this, in the sense that like after digesting all of this, like they don't really do Wanda justice in this movie from the standpoint that as soon as she's on screen, she like within 2 minutes, she is a villain. And it's not out of left field per se, but it feels extremely rushed from that standpoint, because we left WandaVision like kind of really loving this character and feeling very sorry for her in her plight, you know, at the very end of that and everything. And I mean, you know, she kind of mind controlled the whole town, but she's like one of those, you know, like those people that you're, you know, villain that you're able to empathize with. And I don't really consider the villain per se in WandaVision, but you know, you're able to empathize with her stance. But throughout this whole movie, it's just like, in my opinion, a light switch where like I couldn't really empathize with her at any point, and I felt like she was being extremely I guess for lack of a better term, like pig-headed or stubborn in her whole, like, I just want to see my babies again. Like, all right, well, that's great, but they're, you're insane. So, or just remake a new version of them. I don't know. But like, I felt like that through this one. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I agree. I think that the throwaway line that they give about the Darkhold being a corruptive force, that once she started reading it, it corrupted her, that needed more expansion.
Agreed.
Needed, like, that should have been present in, like, the last episode of WandaVision. Like, she should, like, midway through the episode should have been the defeat point, and then she should have been reading the Darkhold. We should have seen the corruption starting to take place. It does feel kind of rushed in that aspect. I agree wholeheartedly. And yeah, the villain reveal is just surprising the way they do it.
It is.
Which I like the way they did it, because that's one of my favorite tropes, is when the villain reveals they're the villain on accident. They accidentally tell on themselves.
Yeah.
And her line, when she's like, oh, well, just, maybe America can come be with me. And then Steven gives her that look and she goes, you never told me her name.
Yeah.
It's like, you just outed yourself as the villain, you idiot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that definitely we needed more expansion on the Darkhold actually influencing her, which we got a little tiny tease of in the stinger for WandaVision, where she's floating and reading the book, and it looks like, it is corrupting her to hear her kid's voice when really they aren't there. So
right.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, like, if you didn't like really catch that too much at the end of WandaVision, or I mean, like, for me, like, I hadn't watched WandaVision in, I don't know, 6 months or so when it came out. Like, I don't remember. I don't really remember that at all. So, that's like part of the disconnect there.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think WandaVision could have done with like 2 more episodes or something like that to develop. I don't know if that's maybe something they should have given this movie an extra 30 minutes to develop or not. But yeah, like you were saying, Aaron, like that was my initial feel about it, is just like the arrangement of how everything came together, and then it was like too rushed in the process of it all. It's like, I don't know what I would want more, but I think we're pinpointing it. Like probably more of development of her is becoming the villain versus just she is the villain now,
Right. So. And it's kind of like with Moon Knight too. Like, if you just took episode 5 and 6 and or took episodes like 1 through 4, made that episodes 1 and 2, and then took 5 and 6 and made that 3 and 4, and then just added some better content towards the end to make an episode 5 and 6, like, it would feel better. And I think we're in the same boat here. It just felt kind of rushed along. And I think, like, the one of the scenes that I had a big problem with was where Scarlet Witch, and I can't remember the chubby Asian fellow. What's his name? Wong. Thank you. Where he's just like, oh yeah, well, I'll take you to the physical Darkhold, and nobody's ever been there before, and it's a treacherous, long, arduous journey. And then they're just there 30 seconds later, and I'm like, all right, well, that it was a little silly, like that type of stuff. I feel like kind of summarizes the movie, where it just like clips along in certain ways so quickly.
Right.
Yeah. I also feel like Wong didn't get the proper character treatment that he deserves. He's supposedly the Sorcerer Supreme, but I mean, man, he acted like a third-rate mook the whole movie, where he was just getting bodied by Wanda the whole time. Now, granted, the Darkhold does say that the Scarlet Witch's power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme, but come on, Wong, step it up.
I think that's funny, because that's kind of the trope, like, you're the Sorcerer Supreme by default because Dr.Strange was dead at the time, So I didn't mind that as much from a humor standpoint of the movie, because, like, it's just like, yeah, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, but everybody knows he really shouldn't be.
Yeah, he's the Sorcerer Supreme in name only.
You would think, though, that, like, I mean, I do give you that, but I also kind of feel like, to a certain extent, he's been the Sorcerer Supreme for how long at this point? It's been a little while. Like, he would have developed his skills at least a little bit more in certain ways. And he's still strong, but he's clearly nowhere close to either, Strange or Wanda.
Yeah.
So you think he'd have
too
a little
busy
bit more.
working with Abomination.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up an interesting scene that struck me as odd when I was watching the movie, and that is when Wong and Strange take America out for pizza after their battle with the demon, and Strange says, "Oh, we're no strangers to multiversal problems. Before we recently helped Spider-Man deal with multiversal problems." It's like, okay, it's interesting that then they remember that Spider-Man had multiversal problems, but then they just don't know who Spider-Man is. How does that work exactly?
Yeah,
Like did they exclude themselves from that spell in some way? Like, how does that work?
So,
and I'm curious to see.
I think they remember the event, obviously. Like, the world remembers the event of all of that happening. Nobody really understood it, but the group that was going on right there. But it was just they've all forgotten who Spider-Man was. So, like, he was a part of the Avengers. He helped him save the world, all this, but they have no clue who he is, kind of thing. And it's just that he looking back at that, he just sees Spider-Man with a mask, kind of thing. Like, it's kind of how I viewed it. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that makes most logical sense. It struck me as odd in the moment because I was like, oh, well, they still remember Spider-Man. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm gonna go with, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like a wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Yeah,
that's all I was gonna say.
There's some news out of that camp too. Believe me, if I had thought to put it in the show notes, we'd be talking about that too. I do want to say that I wish we had a little bit more multiverse in our multiverse movie. We got that like minute-long sort of traveling through.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, there's a multiverse that's paint. There's a multiverse that's in the 30s. There's a multiverse that looks like it's high-tech. Apple owns everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, these were fun to see, but we didn't spend more than 2 seconds in each universe as they were traveling through. We mostly spent time in Earth 616, which they did name drop, and Earth 838, which was the Illuminati universe. Which, I mean, they could have added a little bit more to the chase aspect of the movie, I think, right? Throw a few more universes in there.
A couple more cameos or something.
Something like spread out the cameos a little. Do like they travel to the Deadpool universe for some reason, and it's like, throw Ryan Reynolds in there.
That was another thing, is that apparently he filmed the end credit scene is Deadpool, and they cut it. So, like, I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I think that would have been cool, like a funny moment with him, or even expand out Krasinski's role a little bit, traveling through the multiverses of like one moment he's talking to a different multiverse variant of him, like that's even crazed because like one point in the comics, Mr. Fantastic goes crazy, like bring some of that kind of aspect in, use his character just a little bit more other than just like, hey, I'm Mr. Fantastic. Now you're going to be turned into like strings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm 100% on board with all of that. And honestly, like, I feel like this movie really, because the runtime was right at 2 hours, I think. It really could have been a 3-hour movie and been just as, if not more, entertaining and more enlightening. Like, I would not have felt like there was a lull if they added even, like you said, like, frankly, like another hour into this at all.
Yeah.
I could see that for sure. This is kind of a weird question, but what was your favorite elimination of the Illuminati? Like, who was your favorite?
I'd have to say, for me, it was definitely Black Bolt, because that was just mind blowing.
Yeah. So, did she do that, or did he kill himself by the whisper?
He killed himself.
Because
she erased his mouth Matrix style, where all of a sudden he realized that he has no mouth. And he's like, and in a panic, he makes a noise with his vocal cords. And
Right. Just kind of back blue. Yeah. I thought that was by far the coolest. I think the second coolest, though, was cutting Agent Carter in half with the shield.
I was just going to say,
that was crazy.
That was wild.
Captain Carter, 50% off.
And the fact that the shield was covered in blood when it hit the wall was crazy. I mean, we kind of expected it at that point for as horrific and gruesome as the movie was for a PG-13 movie, especially. But yeah, that hit home. That was nuts.
Yeah, like I said, this is definitely a Raimi movie, and you can tell from the blood stains.
My favorite elimination was Professor X, because I like that whole sequence of him walking into her mind and like trying to save her out of her own save the multiverse variant part of the mind out of the hole, and then she comes up behind him and like the crazy demon Scarlet Witch just and it just shows how strong the two really are. Like Professor X has a really strong mind to break into her mind, but she also is very strong internally because they were basically warring there. So it was really, it was cool, like a fun little like horror sequence, but also like really showed off their powers and how powerful he is, but she's even stronger, so it's cool.
And they retconned her to make her a mutant. Is that correct? I'm trying to remember. I feel like they did some retconning on her origins.
They did in WandaVision when Agatha Harkness was talking to her and going through her like past in her mind, and she said, "Oh no, you didn't get your powers from this stone. You have these latent magical abilities that the stone just enhanced."
Okay.
So yeah, they did that back in WandaVision. Then they kind of made it. They didn't really call her a mutant. They just kind of said, "You have magic, like a sorcerer."
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember, but I knew that they basically got rid of the original origin story for hers.
Yeah.
Well, with that, I guess I want to ask, what do you guys think you would give Doctor Strange in terms of a rating?
Go
ahead, Aaron.
No, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Well, no. You go first.
Okay. So my rating has changed a little bit after thinking about it. Like I was a weak 7, and now I'm going to say I'm a strong 7 because I just really love the Scarlet Witch character, and I really like the different movie approach and all of that. Like it was still just the arrangement of it could have been a little longer. I think we pinpointed something today with explaining the Darkhold situation a little more, but I do in all the cameos. That's anything I want in a multiverse labeled Marvel movie. It's just to see some other people from the multiverse. So yeah, strong 7 for me out of 10.
I think so. Previously, I had labeled this a 10 out of 10 popcorn flick. Because I differentiate between like a popcorn flick and like a Scorsese film, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm actually going to downgrade this a little bit to probably at 8.5. I'm going to go with, and again, I think it's really just because, like I said, the more I kind of thought about it, I feel like it was a strong film, and it's still very fun, and some of the cinematography is the best I've seen in a very long, like other than the Batman, the cinematography in this is amazing. Some of the shots that they came up with, and CGI especially, but all of that to say, yeah, I do kind of feel like they didn't do Wanda the justice that she deserved. I felt like, not a complete 180, but I feel like she really kind of 180'd into this villain in certain ways. And additionally, to Mason's point, like it really could have been a little bit longer and had a little bit more content and made it smoother. And then also, just some of the music note fight scene. I mean, come on, that was just completely out of left field, ridiculous. Didn't need to even be there. So yeah, for all those things, I'm going to downgrade a little bit.
Wow. Okay, that's not where I thought you were going with that when you're talking about the musical fight scene. I loved the musical fight scene.
Really?
I thought it was unique. I thought it was interesting. I thought that it was a fun display of magic in a way that we haven't seen really before in these films.
Yeah, I suppose.
It was a fun fight for me. I don't know.
I agree. I think it just kind of it didn't. There was no
the vibe maybe of the movie.
Not even that it didn't fit the vibe. It just kind of happened, and it didn't. There was no context for why it was happening, and we've never seen that that quote unquote type of magic before. It was interesting and it was
Aaron,
well shot.
have you ever seen a Step Up movie? They have dance battles all the time, and there's no context. They're just like, "Yo, you took my lunch money. We're gonna dance it out."
That's the context. That's the context. They took their lunch money. All right, two strangers they shared lunch money, bro. Anyway.
For me, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. I really think that, yeah, like you said, Aaron, this is a popcorn flick that's a ton of fun. It's got great beats of action, comedy, these great dark beats with this whole the idea of Strange being stuck in a different multiverse and having to dream walk into the corpse of Defender Strange back in 616 and using the souls of the damned as a levitating cloak. The visuals in that scene alone were just mind-blowing to me. And that was the Raimi stuff that I wanted out of this movie. Like that's Sam Raimi stuff to me right there.
Yeah.
They let Sam be Sam for sure.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
This wasn't Spider-Man 3. We got to inject Venom into this. They were like, do your thing, Sam Raimi. Just do what you got to do.
This feels like an apology for Spider-Man 3, honestly, where they're like, hey, Raimi, we're sorry about Spider-Man 3. Just do whatever you want with this movie. We'll be hands off and you have fun with it. Yeah, and absolutely. I think he had a ton of fun with it because you had these great gruesome fights and these, I mean, God, Wanda is just comparable to Carrie in some scenes of this movie where she's silently stalking America and Strange, and there's just like blood and viscera dripping off of her, and it's terrifying, and it's a PG-13, but it's awesome. I like that they stretched the bounds that far. But solid 8 out of 10.
I'll ask this question: what was your favorite horror scene in the movie, like of her? Because there were some horror moments in there, you know.
I would say definitely the scene where Professor X is inside the other Wanda's mind.
And she
she just envelops the area in that red fog, and it's tense and it's quiet, and then all of a sudden,
whoa, amazing.
Yeah,
Aaron? I think for myself, it's the scene where she's chasing all the Strange and then through the tunnels, and because she's got covered in like all of like the oil, blood, viscera and everything, she's got her leg messed up, so she's kind of like hobbling along, and then she's basically silhouetted like pitch black except her eyes are red, and she straight up looks like a monster. Like and it's not like particularly scary because she is injured and just trying to kind of go after them, but just the way they literally like set her up, like it's like an old-fashioned monster flick. It would just really struck with me, and I really like that a lot.
It's unsettling is what it is.
It is.
You know, it's this image you're used to of this hero, only now she's injured and covered in things and villain. It's unsettling.
Because it's like it's almost like Michael Myers like slowly walking at somebody. They're not like running and chasing them, but it's like so it's not like, you know, adrenaline, but it's just like kind of slowly walking or hobbling after somebody is like you said, that much more unsettling.
It's like that hellbound determination. Like
exactly,
they're gonna get their way.
Exactly.
I think for me it was the mirror when she came through the mirror. When she was like all rolled out through the mirror. Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then when she's trying to break through the barrier and she gets in the guy's head at the Dr. Strange palace, and he goes, run. Like just really like silently in his ear. That was like another like horror type moment there. So I thought that was cool. But she gave her all in that movie, in that role, and that's really like I really like seeing, because she's an actress who's like, she does a lot of indie stuff, you know, like this was like her first real like mainstream thing, and she's gotten a lot of like shit from the industry, like from the indie type industry for being in Marvel, and will never be a good movie and all that, but like she really gave her all to this role, and it's not felt like she wasn't just making it a cash grab, you know, like let me get this money and then I'll go do other stuff, you know, like it was, she really did, you know, and I think that I would really like to see her back again, you know, in something.
Agreed.
I would love to see like the multiverse variant of her connect with Magneto or something like that. That would be super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Magneto.
Well, that's her dad.
Her dad.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah. Come on, Aaron.
I had too much to drink. I was just like, what are you talking about? He wasn't in this movie.
Right. Yeah.
So moving on from things we have seen to things we are going to see very shortly. Of course, it is May. It is Star Wars month, basically. And we have Obi-Wan dropping on Disney Plus May 25th. 25th? 27th? What is that day?
27.
Double check.
27. Yeah.
7th. Yeah, 20.
Week from right now. Yep. When we're recording.
Week from today.
2 days from when this goes out.
Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we're hoping to see in the series, our expectations, hopefully things that we'd like to see them avoid. And I want to kick things off with you, Mason. What are you looking to get out of Obi-Wan?
So I didn't rewatch Revenge of the Sith, but I rewatched the end of Revenge of the Sith, and because I was like, man, I haven't seen that movie in forever since it came out, and so I was like, that hate relationship that they had, call it what you want, acting, bad acting, good acting, whatever, but like you can tell that like expounding on that, and I'm really curious to see where they're going with this whole Darth Vader thing and how they're going to use Hayden Christensen, if they're going to do like Clone Wars flashbacks with him in human form, or like flashbacks with him and Obi-Wan together, or if they're literally just going to use him as like take his helmet off and it's mangled Hayden Christensen, So I'm interested to see how that is going to work out. And then who's going to do the voice of Darth Vader, ultimately. Like,
true.
I mean, I'd have to hope that they get James Earl Jones, but
yeah,
I know that they do vocal, work to pitch it up and down and sound how it should sound. I don't know. We'll
there are 2 other guys that have done Darth Vader in like the video games and stuff that are pretty close. So like I could, if they can't get James Earl Jones, like hopefully they use one of those guys, because they're not bad, but obviously ideally it would be James Earl Jones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Aaron, what are you hoping to see?
Well, Ewan McGregor's like one of my favorite actors, like top 5 favorite actors, and I really love everything he's ever been in, and so seeing him just reprise the role is probably enough for me ultimately. But to Mason's point, like I am really interested to see how much they do with Darth Vader, because the Darth Vader comics where he's just kind of rolling around the galaxy being Darth Vader and just like being a badass and hunting Jedi and shit is completely bonkers. So that like if they have that aspect of things in the show, I think it'll definitely spruce it up a notch. I'm very disappointed that it's only, I think, 6 episodes. That I think they're again, it could be a situation where they could add way more content. And so that's why I feel like there probably isn't going to be a lot of, just Darth Vader specific action. But at the same time, I am really, really interested to see that dynamic between the 2 of them, and again, how much hunting Darth Vader's doing. It'll be good.
That was one thing that I was kind of worried about too. And sorry, Zach, I'll let you speak in a minute. But like one thing I was worried about
Kanye?
is like,
get out of here.
Yeah, seriously. I'm gonna let you finish. Hold up. No, no. Like I was worried that it would be, mostly just boring Tatooine stuff, and then like the 6th episode is really Darth Vader heavy. But apparently Hayden Christensen is in every episode of this show. So all 6 of them, he's a main character staple of the show. So like, and he's been on all the press tours and all that kind of stuff. And usually if they have like a secret type villain, they're not doing all the press tours and stuff. So like, I'm really glad to see that they're taking that route with it. And, I read something that the Star Wars, the person in charge of this whole thing, initially they were like, we're not going to even include Darth Vader. This is just going to be an Obi-Wan thing. And they fought, like whoever in that position had to fight for like, no, we need to tell this story if we're going to tell this story, because, we've seen Obi-Wan in the movies and they've come up together and stuff, but like we need to explore this relationship, because the next time we see them is when they fight in the very first movie, and Obi-Wan's never seen again, you know, like,
Mhm.
so like,
Mhm.
I'm really glad they're going to tell that story for sure.
Yeah. As for what I'm looking for, I'm hoping we don't spend the entire series on Tatooine. I'm kind of Tatooined out just a little bit,
Mhm.
between Mando and Boba, and just like just maybe get away from Tatooine for a little while. I know we do have glimpses of that new sort of city planet that kind of resembles Hong Kong. They said when they were designing the planet, they kind of based it on Hong Kong, and so it's
Cool.
kind of got this seedy underbelly going on.
Yeah, I would love that. Something like
So I'd
that.
love more of that.
Cool.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the Obi-Wan Vader dynamic. I'm also oddly looking forward to the Obi-Wan and Owen Lars dynamic. We got a really great taste of that in the trailer where, he says to Owen, the boy must be trained. And Owen threw it right back in his face like, oh, like you trained his father.
Right.
And in that moment, it was just like, ooh, emotional damage.
Mhm.
And so that whole thing of, Owen's unwillingness to let Obi-Wan train Luke, and we've seen young Luke in the trailer when he's got his little goggles on and he's fake pod racing.
Yeah.
And so this idea of Obi-Wan protecting him from afar from now these Sith Inquisitors that are showing up, and it's like, man, this is going to be a pretty interesting series, and I hope they do manage to fit all that they need to fit into in these 6 episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
I hope they're longer too, like a little bit longer. Like, give us straight 45-minute episodes, like, and then like a 55-minute finale or something. Because
Absolutely.
these 32 to one, like one of the Boba Fett, I think actual runtime was like 28 or something like that.
Yeah.
So lame.
Showtime.
The shorter episodes are not doing it for me. Like, I definitely want more content than less. And with the, of course, today they announced the Stranger Things run times where the last episode is going to be a 2.5 hour episode.
Wow.
And it's like, yes, please. That's awesome.
Wild. Yeah.
I'm down. Stranger Things, the movie as the season finale. Let's go.
Yeah.
Series, right? Series finale, right?
The season, I thought they were stopping after series 5.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Sorry. Yeah. I don't know. I thought I'd read somewhere they were ending it, but maybe that was what I read. Yeah. They were doing more.
But yeah, we got Obi-Wan coming out next week. Looking forward to it, or a few days from when this goes live, I should say. And
and we're talking about doing some kind of reaction maybe that Friday evening or something. So look out for that in a couple days. We might do a little like watch party and reaction. So that'd be fun.
Heck
that'd be fun. All right, so we're gonna move on to our segment, What's Effin' Cool, where we go around and talk about what we think is effing cool at the current time in our lives. Let's go ahead and start with Aaron.
Oh man! Oh, what a challenging question for me. I just finished Elden Ring for like the 4th time, and I would have to throw it out there that if you haven't played it yet, it's a very I would consider it a welcoming Souls game, as far as the series is concerned. It's incredible. It lives up to all of the hype, and frankly, it's ruined a lot of other games for me. I'm not particularly interested in playing a lot of different games anymore because they just don't live up in any way to the expectations that I have now after playing that game. It is the new bar for AAA games, and I would strongly recommend anybody go out and play it.
All right. Mason, what's effing cool with you?
Effing cool with me. I think what's really effing cool is that yesterday they announced officially Daredevil's coming back. They're going to be starting to develop the official announcements happen. There's been whispers, but that is, I feel like just like a Daredevil fanboy now that I literally mention that show in like every conversation I have.
Yes.
It's so good.
You sure have.
And then, I don't know. I think, that particularly, I haven't really played many other games recently that besides like Fortnite and stuff that we always play. I did jump in. I'm not a Call of Duty player, so I'm not ever going to claim to be a Call of Duty guy, like one of those guys that plays that game religiously. But I did jump in on the Monarch event they're doing right now with Godzilla and Kong, and that's pretty epic. So that's kind of effing cool.
That does seem pretty wild. I've seen screenshots and stuff of that going on.
Yeah, and so you're like diving on the island and they're just duking it out and like you end up, all that kind of stuff. So I will not continue playing that game very much, but I know me and Aaron said we're gonna play it, and it's free to play too. So like you could check that out, the Call of Duty Warzone or whatever. I don't even know what. There's so many of them now. Yeah, so that if you like Godzilla, Apple TV is also developing like a Godzilla series. So that, and then Kong, and they announced that they're doing a Godzilla and Kong Part 2 movie. So that's cool. Nice. So anyway,
I'm always down for more kaiju.
Yeah, some announcements and stuff. And then the She-Hulk trailer. That's effing cool to me. Seeing that, I'm super hyped for. I'm so excited for that show. Did you watch it, Aaron?
No, I haven't watched this trailer yet, but I am excited for the show. Yeah. I like to try to avoid trailers because nowadays I feel like they're too spoiler heavy.
Yeah, this doesn't really spoil anything personally. Like I have no idea. Like she's a lawyer. Like that's she's big and buff.
That segues perfectly into what's effing cool with me is that She-Hulk trailer. She-Hulk is my favorite Marvel heroine. In her books, they're written very, it's Ally McBeal with superpowers. If you remember the old Ally McBeal series. Yes. And I think that's kind of what this show is going to be. It's going to be a pretty direct adaptation from the comic books. We have Jennifer Walters, this sort of meek but hardworking lawyer who ends up becoming She-Hulk, who is more confident in her abilities. And we're going to get a mixture of like courtroom, comedy drama with superhero comedy drama and having those two worlds collide. And I think that's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that series. Another thing effing cool with me is I did watch Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers this morning. Fantastic. I loved it. A super fun movie. It's not deep by any means. It's a popcorn flick, not a Scorsese flick, but it is absolutely hysterical. There are so many cameos in that movie that I literally just was shocked every time I saw a character. I went, how is this character in a Disney property? This is insane.
I think I'm going to shut this off and go watch that later. It's like I was not excited about that movie until you started talking about it.
I recommended it to my buddy when we were playing Fortnite earlier today, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm just in the middle of watching this movie." He's like, "How is it?" I'm like, "There's a cameo 10 minutes into the movie that made me laugh so hard I nearly blacked out." Like, you will like this movie. I basically sold him on it as being a pseudo sequel to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which is one of his favorite movies. Yeah, and he texted me 2 hours later after he'd watched it. He's like, "This is one of the best movies I've ever seen now." And I'm like, isn't it great? It's so good. If you're a fan of Rescue Rangers, it's right up your alley. I think it's very meta. It is very much a commentary on the system of Hollywood and like this whole reboot, remake. One of the running gags in the movie is that Dale has gotten CGI surgery. So he's a 3D CGI chipmunk, whereas Chip is just a regular 2D chipmunk. So like they have this sort of weird animosity during this one scene where he's like, "Oh, Dale, you look different," and he's like, "Oh yeah, I got the surgery to be 3D," and it's so funny. At one point, they go to a bad part of town that's called the Uncanny Valley, and in the Uncanny Valley, it's all like characters that look like they belong in the Polar Express, with like the dead eyes and just like, yes, I'm a CG character. It's fine. It's like, this is too funny. So yeah, very meta, very funny. Tons of great cameos. I loved it. I really did. And then other than that, Fortnite's been pretty effing cool. We play that all the time and I still love it. We're getting Obi-Wan in Fortnite soon. That's going to be a ton of fun. Yes. And I saw the loadout that you get in the pack, and his glider is his Jedi Starfighter, and I went, "God damn it, they got me because I love those damn ships." So
$24 going to freaking Fortnite again.
Yeah, for real. There's another $20 drop of the bucket for Fortnite. There's a website, Fortnite.gg, and you can go in and manually add all the skins that you have in your locker, and it will tell you the V-Buck value of the skins you have bought. And I did the math conversion. Apparently it's 1 penny for every V-Buck. Okay. And I had spent 70,100 V-Bucks.
Wow.
So translated, for those of us not good with math, roughly $701. And I went, wow, for a free game I've spent $700 on over the course of the last 2 years.
That's how they get you, though.
That's how they get you.
Yeesh, it is how they get you. And
Other
they're going to
companies
keep getting me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
other companies are starting to catch on to that. There's a lot of like free to play games coming this year. I'm trying to
Yeah.
get into the closed beta for that multiversal Super Smash
Multiverses.
Brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
multiverse. Yeah, like the WB. It's like Space Jam meets Smash Brothers, like the
Yeah.
WB universe.
yeah.
I sent it off and I actually contacted like them directly. Hey, I'm from EFNcool, like, and they wrote me back and they're gonna see what they can do. So if I get that, I'll stream it and I can give codes out to that as well. So
Nice. I'm down.
But yeah, so looking forward. Just thought of that free to play games. There's so many of that stuff coming that looks like it's not going to be a pay to win. They're taking that Fortnite model and going like where it needs to go and like just give you a good game that you can add stuff to. Which
And that's kind of like I did an article earlier this month about Disney's new game that's kind of like a hybrid of Disney and Animal Crossing, where it's going to be a free to play game, and it's going to be very much a like you start out in this valley that's been taken over by something called the Forgetting or something like that, and it's you have to gather these Disney characters and build this town from scratch. And like that sounds really interesting to me as someone who likes playing Animal Crossing and who is a Disney fan. And I showed that to my sister and I said, "Did you wish really hard?" Because somehow this game came into being, and I don't know who thought of it. But
yeah, and Gameloft is developing that, and they're also developing a free to play Disney kart racer game called Disney Speedstorm, and I wrote about that on EFNcool as well. And it looks so polished and so fun. So we'll like is for a free to play jump in play it game. We're looking at streaming schedules, so hopefully we can have more fun.
We'll definitely have to cover that stuff.
So.
Well, before we wrap things up here, we are going to play a fun little game. Aaron has compiled a small list of situations, and we're going to play a little Would You Rather.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Aaron, take it away.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I've got 4 very, very simple questions here. And it would be, we'll start off, would you rather, and I teased this earlier, but be on a squad with the Fantastic Four or the X-Men? And I'll kick it to Zach.
For me, I feel like... Okay, contextualize this for me. Time period, are we talking like 90s X-Men or today X-Men?
I mean, the today Fantastic Four is a joke, and I think the today X-Men is much better. I'm gonna go 90s. I feel like there's a relative amount of comparability there.
Then in that case, it's going to be Fantastic Four, because I feel like there's much less death involved with the Fantastic Four in the 90s as opposed to the X-Men. In the X-Men in the 90s, it was a real Russian roulette, man. It was like, hey, you could die this week, and it's going to sell the comic books. But I think I'd side with being on Team Fantastic Four.
All right, I like it. Mason.
So would I be one of the X-Men or just like on the team with the X-Men? Like, would I be Mr. Fantastic?
You might, I don't know. You might be like their Otacon or something. I'm not sure.
So just like, what does that mean?
The guy in the chair. The guy in the chair. The guy.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, the guy in the chair.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the X-Men would be so cool. Like the perfect be in the mansion, be like the
they get to live in the X mansion.
Yeah, like the whole thing. If I get to ride in the plane too, that'd be slick. But so X-Men for me. Would I rather be on a team with the X-Men? Sure.
I like it. Now, I don't know. I know Mason doesn't play either of these games. Zach, I don't know if you play either of these games, but would you rather put 1,000 hours into League of Legends or Counter-Strike Go? And I'm going to kick it to Mason first.
Probably League of Legends, because I know more about that game, and I've played League of Legends. I just haven't played it a lot, and I do like the theme better personally.
Fair. Zach.
See, I'm not a fan of League of Legends or Smite or those kind of games. I forget what the genre is, but
MOBAs.
I'm definitely not good at MOBAs. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. I'm not good at MOBAs. I'm better at shooters, as evidenced by playing Fortnite as much as I do. Destiny is another game I play all the time, which is just a shooter. So I'd have to go with CSGO, because I used to play Counter-Strike back in the day, like when it
Yeah.
first came out, and we used to go to an internet cafe to play Counter-Strike.
That's
Nice,
awesome.
nice. Yeah, I played 1.6 in Source quite a bit when I was younger, doing tournaments and stuff. I loved it. All right. So the next one would be: would you rather give up video games for a year or anime and manga for a year? And I'm gonna go Zach first.
That's an easy one. Anime and manga. I don't watch it or read it now,
Yeah.
so giving it up is easy.
All right. I figured this might be an easy one for you guys because I wasn't sure
Yeah.
how deep you were. But yeah, Mason, I feel like I know your answer. But
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably go a year without watching too much. My wife watches it more than I do, so like, where we're at.
all right, fair enough. Well, we're learning more about you guys at least. I like this. I would also probably give up anime and manga, though it would be really challenging for me. So I'm like 3/4 of the way through Berserk right now. So all right,
But
so
you could put that down and like you would miss video games, like have withdrawals from video games.
I would, yes. I am
Yeah,
I'm an alcoholic when it comes to
Same.
video games for sure.
Listen, the other day I was playing Hearthstone on my computer. I had Fortnite doing a download on my PlayStation, and I was playing Transformers on my phone. 3 games at once. That's a record.
Nice. All
Join
right,
the
now
EFNcool guild on Transformers.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
playing Transformers Forged to Fight, join the EFNcool guild.
nice. All right, the last one's a little challenging. I really want you guys to think about this one. All right, would you rather give up comic books for the rest of your life, or wear a shirt made of your own pubes everywhere?
Oh,
Wait, would I rather?
Yeah, so you either have to give up
I
comic
see.
books for the rest of your life and
Or
wear
wear
a
the
shirt of
shirt.
pubes, or you can read comic books, but you got to wear a pube shirt.
Can I wear something over the shirt because you have to have it exposed at all times?
Yeah, you just have pubes rubbing against your flesh for the rest of your days.
Yeah, I would say comic books for sure, and that's an easy one.
yeah.
If it was like everything, like MCU movies, anything related to comic books, then I'd probably wear the shirt. But if it's just
All right.
comic books, I could give that up.
Yeah, I agree with Mason. If it's just comic books, I think I can go a year without actually
No,
picking up a
life.
comic book.
Life.
Oh, life. You're right. Life. Shit.
That's what I say. You have to think about this one.
I mean, the amount of times I've actually read a physical comic book or a digital comic book, I can probably count on both my hands. So, I just know comic book stuff tangentially through reading about it on the internet or seeing the movies or, looking it up on Wikipedia or whatever. So I think I could go without comic books because I don't think I could wear a shirt made from my own.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for Would You Rather for the week.
Indeed. And thank you all for joining us on another edition of the EFNcool pod. Stay tuned to EFNcool. We got some great stories coming up. I know we got a really fun theme month coming up in June that I won't say too much about. Because I don't think we've talked about that anywhere on the socials yet, have we, Mason?
Not publicly, no. But and we thank Aaron for joining us. So me and Aaron and my other friend Weston, we have had a podcast that we did for a while called the Beyond Average Nerds podcast. It's in this feed, so you can listen to our first episode we've relaunched on EFNcool. So we wanted to have Aaron on. Is like, hey, this is a little sampler of what you can get on our other podcasts as well. So come hang out with us all over there, and obviously keep it tuned over here as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me, Mason and Aaron. Again, great to have you. Thanks for talking about the stuff that you think is effing cool.
Oh, yeah. And then I guess we can talk about this. Me and Aaron and my other friend Weston, and I know Eric's going to be there, and then Tyler MC from our site, we're all going to be at C2E2 this year. So in Chicago. So we're going to be hanging out, seeing what's going on with the whole radio. There's a lot. Kyle on our other EFNpod, Kyle Higgins, the creator of Radiant Black, had teased there's a lot going on with Radiant Black there. So that's really my push to go and want to see what's all happening there, because we're big champions of Kyle and all that whole universe he's got going on. So,
Heck yeah.
Kyle's great. Kyle's such a cool dude. He's so nice, and getting to meet him is always a pleasure. And I regret that I no longer live in Chicago and can go to
I
C2E2
know.
with y'all, because it's one of my favorite cons.
Yeah.
But yeah, look forward to seeing the EFNcool crew there at C2E2. And I know well, this is way far off, but I know I'll be at Ranger Stop in November, so we'll
Nice.
cover that con as well for the site. But yeah,
Awesome.
other than that, I think that's about it, isn't it, Mason? We have any other last minute announcements we need to make?
Nope. Just always keep it tuned to the site. Fun
Yep.
stuff coming, and follow us on Twitch, twitch.tv/EFNcool, and we're gonna get some streaming schedules down, and we might even try doing some live shows on there as well. So
Yeah, it'd be fun.
Cool.
Live hangouts, chatting with the audience about what's effing cool. I dig it.
Awesome.
All right, gang. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, stay tuned to EFNcool for all the latest cool news.
If you like what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Want to get in touch? Tweet us at EFNcool, or you can email us at effncoolemail@gmail.com.